This recording looks at Section D of Assessment Task 2 for Researching Criminology. This is the last section of a 4-section assessment. Sections A, B and C have been covered in previous online lectures. This session will look at Section D. Taken directly from the assessment paper, we can see that Part D looks at triangulation and the results. Results from the central research question and those that have been discussed in Section B and Section C. 10% of your mark for Assessment Task 2 will be attributed to Part D of this task. Students should look at the assessment paper and the following words are listed. Triangulate the quantitative and qualitative findings from your own research into an overall conclusion. You must make sure you comment on both aspects of research, your quantitative findings from the British Crime Survey secondary data analysis and the qualitative findings from your interviews. You need to try and bring these together or triangulate them into an overall conclusion. This means that you will relate them directly back to your central research question that you discussed and outlined in Section A. You then need to recognise the strengths and limitations of a mixed methods research strategy, which is the research strategy that you have employed as part of this module. Look back at the lectures, the last few lectures on this module, which go into detail about what triangulation covers, what mixed methods is as a strategy, and it covers both the strengths and limitations of this approach. You must make sure that you comment on these and refer to references from your methods text to support the critique of this strategy. All of the above, the triangulation of findings, the overall conclusion and the answer to your central research question needs to relate directly back to your literature review, and you commented specifically on your literature review in Section A of this assessment. So some further guidance taken from the assessment guidance on Blackboard. Think about Section D that needs to bring together the whole module. So everything that you've covered so far, this is where you conclude and you come to an answer. You try and provide an overall answer to the central research question that you set yourselves back in Semester 1. The last few workshops in Semester 2 focus directly on how to bring together the work in the qualitative interviews, the work from the quantitative British Crime Survey, and how to triangulate it together. So please do refer to the work that you did in those workshops to try and answer Section D. Ensure that your concluding sentences are paraphrased and they take reference to what you said in Part B, said in Part C, and relate it to the central research question. So you're not just copying the few ending sentences from Section B and Section C, but you're rewriting them in relation to an overall central research question. Now, it's not easy to provide an answer to a research question when you've got a mixed method strategy. They may not fit together directly. They may not answer or blend together to provide an answer, but this is the nature of research. It is messy and there may be gaps or issues where things don't quite fit together, but that's okay. As long as you're trying to provide a conclusion to your central research question, then that is all we ask for. We're not looking for a neat answer. We're looking for an acknowledgement of the process that you've gone through, the data that was collected and analysed, and how you've related back to what you said you were going to look for right at the beginning of the semester and what you outlined in Section A. So what you need to do then is provide a conclusion, and it needs to be a clear conclusion that we as the markers can see and see that it relates back to your research question. We also want to see that it relates back to your literature review. So you're taking reference to the literature that you found before. Maybe, as has been previously suggested, you've had to revisit the literature and update it based on the things that you found in your analysis. But you're trying to finish the loop here. You're trying to bring us all the way back to Section A by saying, this is what we started reading, this is what we've done, this is what we found, and this is how it links back to what we were looking at in the broader criminological arena at the beginning of this module. You need to have an understanding of triangulation in order to be able to do that. So methods textbooks, the lectures for this module, the workshop tasks will help you with this. You do also need to have tried to conclude section B and section C before you try and triangulate them, because you need to know what you found in each section before you can bring them together. It might be that you can reflect upon your research question and comment that it didn't quite work, or it didn't quite fit with the data, or that maybe a different research question with different concepts or a different angle may have been better. And this is where you reflect upon that. And again, link that back to any research findings, any further work that you've done in terms of grounding your research in the criminological field, and this is where you link that here. So it's important that you reflect on the whole process of quantitative and qualitative analysis, and that you consider the suitability of these strategies. So this is your critique of triangulation and mixed methods, and we've provided you with the content on this module to be able to do that. So, in summary, triangulate your quantitative and qualitative findings, provide an overall conclusion, link that back to your central research question, recognise the strengths and weaknesses of the strategy that you've employed, which is mixed methods, and link all that together with your literature review that you outlined in section A.